Alright, so mga kabanat, at ang video na ito ay isa pa rin sa karugtong doon sa ginawang pagdinig sa Senado patungkol sa issue ng Department of Health. Lalo na dito sa tinutumbok ngayon, ang pinaka-issue ngayon itong pagbili ng mask at saka face shield na overpriced sa pamumuno nito ni tinatawag nila Christopher Lloyd na napaka talaga kahit yung mga senador ay sa mga tanong ay nakikitaan nila na maaring makasuhan ito ng plunder dahil sa ginawa niya. So naniwala tayo na hindi ito maitatago at lalabas yung katotohanan. Sana naman sa pagdinig na ito ay hindi lang hanggang pagdinig, no, magkaroon ng final na desisyon at kasuhan at maaring makasuhan. So medyo nag-discuss din si Senador Gordon na itong RT-PCR ay dapat talaga ay titingnan mabuti. Sa pagbili nito ay dapat maingat din na ang binibilhan ay talagang accurate. Yun dapat number one. Sana try din na dinggin ito ng Senado o Kongreso itong RT-PCR kasi naniwala ako dito na itong test na ito hindi talaga ito accurate, mga kabanat. Hindi talaga accurate ito. Dahil sobra nakaraan, inyong tandaan, nakaraan ay nagtetest sila 65,000 mga test, pero ang nagpapositive nasa 10 to 9 lang. Ngayon nagtetest sila 60,000, 65,000, ang nagpo-positive ay nasa 22,000 na. So may problema dyan sa RT-PCR na yan. Dapat talaga sa akin lang talagang imbestigahan. Hindi ko naman sinabi na tanggalin nila, it's sa atin imbestigahan kung accurate ba talaga yan o hindi. Kasi nakikita natin kaganyan kasi talagang yayaman itong mga doctors na ito. At yayaman talaga yung kung saan nila binibili yan. Dapat imbestigahan din mamaya kung anong nangyari sa face shield. Siya din ang nangyari dyan sa RT-PCR at kumita ang ibang mga tao. Tapos parang ang test nila parang ano lang siya, test ng mga walang kasilbi-silbi. Hindi accurate at puro palpak. Yan dapat imbestigahan din ng Kongreso o kaya Senado. Kasi nawawala yung kredibilidad lalo na itong mga expert ng DOH o lalo na itong si Lechon. Hindi ko nakitaan na yan ay expert. Kung talagang mga expert na mga yan, sana naghahanap ng gamot yan kung paano makatulong sa ating kababayan. Kaso wala Puro expert sila sa pananakot. Expert ko ng report. Lahat sa buong mundo, yung mga doktor ay talagang umaasam na kumita ngayon ng malaking pera dahil yan naman talagang propesyon nila. Nag-aral yan, nagpagiging doktor para gawing hanap buhay. Hindi naman nag-aral yan. Karamihan yan, hindi nag-aral yan para yung propesyon nila ay ayaw kumita ng pera. Karamihan dyan. So may mga doktor ding iba na propesyon ay talagang layunin ay tumulong. Pero karamihan dyan ay para kumita ng pera. Diba? Yan naman ang yung doktor, hindi naman niya mabubuhay kung walang pasyente. Kaya ngayon, tiba-tiba sila. So sana umayos itong nasa gobyerno natin. Tingnan mabuti. Kasi kung hindi, talagang babagsak tayo kung ganitong sitwasyon. Kahapon, 22,000. So ngayon, baka mamaya 25,000 na. So, nasaan yung accurate? Kasi pag ganyan yung sistema pala, ibig sabihin yung RT-PCR na ito, hindi talaga accurate, mga kabanat. So panoorin nyo itong video na isusunod ko, itong pagdinig na makikita dito kung paano nilamon ng buhay itong si Lau, itong USIC secretary na hindi mo maintindihan. Dapat ito binibitay para isiwalat niya lahat ang kung sino bang sa likod niya para kumita ng pera. Talagang makikita mo, mga kabanat, na mayroong pinagtitakpan ang tao na ito. So panoorin nyo ito, mga kabanat. Pasensya na, medyo nahaba yung intro ko.
Yung gagamit, and I forgot to ask Secretary Duque this. Importante doon sa testing talaga is yung accuracy. Hindi pwedeng porque mura, kakagatin natin, pero hindi naman totally accurate. For that matter, even the PCR is not totally accurate, pero yung pa rin ang gold standard. So, let's try to get the best of the best para sa ating mga kababayan. You should be civil enough to know that when you're asked a question in the Committee of Blue Ribbon, or for that matter, any committee of this Republic and Congress, you should be able to answer the question directly.
I already answered it,
And
Mr.
not,
Chair.
no. Sabi mo kanina, bigla lumabas, list pala yun Yung bahay doon sa Tagaytay, bahay ng tatay mo. Right?
Yes,
Alam
Mr.
mo masama doon, tinatanong lang kita. We have to do that. If I don't do this, I will not be doing my duty. Alright? Understand? Ang kwan lang talaga, ang matindi lang, ang daming mong binibit, kinalimutan mo yung duty mo na hanapin mo yung trabaho na kung itong mga tao ito ay talagang nagbibigay ng tama at tinignan mo kung itong mga tao ito totoo, lahat na sinabi mo ng bibit, hindi na natin makita ngayon, pero papahuli natin yan. Lahat yan, tatawagin natin at humarap dito sa committee. O, paano yan pag nagkaharapan na? So,
Mr. Chair, one quick question, Mr. Chair, just on point, Mr. Chair.
go ahead, Senator Francis.
Yes, very quickly.
All right.
Since you applied, as you say, for the position of Undersecretary of Budget and Management, did you also apply for the position of USEC sa PMS? Nobody endorsed you there. Nobody asked you to join the PMS. You applied. Ganun din ba ang story mo ron?
I applied. I'm one of the volunteers, and then when the president won, marami po kami nag-apply, yung mga volunteers, mga supporters, and I was one of those who were appointed. Chosen.
So nobody asked you to apply. You just applied by yourself.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And to the position of PMS.
No, Mr. Chair. Yes.
Yes.
As PMS, but I was appointed only as Undersecretary. But
Yes, Undersecretary. Nobody asked you to become Undersecretary. You applied. That's
Yes.
your nobody, no? Ikaw ang humingi nung Undersecretary pag maging Undersecretary ng Presidential Management Staff. Yun ang
Yes.
in-applyan mo.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Walang nagsabi sa iyo, pwede ka bang mag Undersecretary for PMS. Tama?
Yes, tama, Mr. Chair.
Hindi naman kapanipaniwala yun. PMS,
Initiative.
ikaw mag-a-apply, ikaw magsasabi na yan ang gusto kong posisyon.
Marami kong
Mahirap. Alam mo, marami dito sa atin sa Senado, naging cabinet secretary. Gusto mong maniwala kami sa storya mo na hindi ka paniwala dahil galing na kami dyan eh. For the record, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Thank you. Well put. You have not answered the question that I asked you earlier. Why did you leave? Why did you leave the department? Suddenly.
I filed my resignation.
Of course, you have to file your resignation. Why did you leave?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I left because I wanted to go back to private practice and return to Davao City, Mr. Chairman. I have
Wanted to go back to private practice.
I
Sorry?
have 2-year-old children, so I have to go back to Davao City with my
I
wife.
didn't ask you about your children. I just asked why did you
But the
leave?
first reason
Kung may pasyal.
Mr. Chairman.
Di ba totoo, umalis ka dyan, di ba, ang sinasabi ko, ang nagiging suspetsya ko, parang may grandiose plan yan eh. Nag-iikutan lang kayo, nagmi-musical chairs lang kayo, o ikaw naman dito, ikaw dyan, tapos para hindi tayo madali, mag-apply ka ngayon sa ombudsman para hindi tayo madadali. Palagay mo, totoo yun?
That is not
You
true.
don't have to
Mr.
answer. You don't have to answer. That is a conclusion that any person who's sane can conclude because you are so lucky. Lahat ng pwesto na gusto mong kunin, nakuha mo. At you want to make us believe, the Secretary Dino, naging Secretary of Labor, naging Executive Secretary. Ha? O si Secretary Pangilinan, naging Secretary of Agriculture. I was Secretary of Tourism. And by the way, when I was Secretary of Tourism, I asked the President Dugong Arroyo, I said, I really don't want the job, but if you want me, I'll take it. But please don't appoint anybody that will not work with me. Yung Undersecretary of Tourism. And you're trying to tell us to make us believe that you were appointed without clearance from Secretary Avisado? Excuse me, sir. You're in the wrong panel. So, let me just finally conclude talagang we really have a problem here. And it would appear that there will be a lot of things to be answered. And we will, I really want to finish this investigation. What is the pressure of the body? Do you want to conclude already? Can we already conclude? Because we still have a big problem as as Senator Subiri said, and if we're going to have the same thing over and over again in terms of getting supplies, hindi pa kami nagtatanong, pag namili kayo, di ba may isang kayong bodega all over the country. Is that correct? Pag namili kayo, dadalhin nyo binili nyo sa mga bodega, tapos i-distribute yan sa mga ospital. Tama po ba yan, Mr. Lloyd Lau?
With respect to common supplies, Mr. Chair, yes, we do.
Excuse me, sir?
With respect to common supplies, yes, we do have.
What do you mean with respect to common supplies? Lahat ng supplies nyo, dadalhin nyo na sa bodega na pinakamalapit, I suppose. Ako rin, meron ganyan eh.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Para nakahanda na doon. Nakahanda na, naka-prepositioning ang tawag doon.
Yes,
Ano
Mr. Chair.
sinasabi mong common supplies? Would you say that all these things are, yung face shield ba, common supply yan?
Yes, it was declared as common supplies, Mr. Chair.
By whom?
By GPPB.
You heard earlier that the only country that does it, I think it was from Senator Lacson, that the only country that demands that we buy face shields is the Philippines. Baka susunod, maglalagay na kayo ng wiper para mas mahal sa face shield. So,
Mr. President, Mr. Chairman.
So ang tinatanong ko ngayon sa iyo, paano mo na siguro na deliver 'yon? Paano mo na siguro na walang, have there been any instance where you found that there was short delivery?
I think the inspector division can answer that, but yes, sometimes they find that there are over deliveries.
My question is directed to you. As head of that department, you will run amok, you will pull hair because hindi dumating yung delivery na pinapadeliver mo. Pagdating doon, hindi nyo alam kung na-deliver. Did you ever bother to check kung na umaabot yung mga dinideliver nyo doon?
Yes, Mr. Chair, we send communications, we send inspection teams from PSDBM, and we also send
But you said there were occasions when kulang.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. And
Give me an example of those occasions.
I cannot recall, Mr. Chair. It's subject to reports of inspection team, and I think they are the best who can answer it because they are the ones in charge.
No. You are the head. The buck stops with you. Di mo narinig si President Biden? I ordered the troops out preemptorily and the buck stops here. Ikaw ang nag-order, ikaw ang bumili, dapat siguruhin mo umabot sa mga tao, mga kababayan natin.
Mr.
And sabi,
Chairman,
yung question na gano'n, anong ginawa mo? Pina-imbestiga mo ba?
when there is a
You see, this is the problem. You don't have to answer anymore. I really am tired. Even evasive, you keep changing your positions, hindi mo alam kung sino mag-appoint sa'yo, paano ka na-appoint. Ang dami mo sinasabi. You see, this is the product of somebody who's being appointed, who's obviously doesn't have the best interest of his country at heart, especially in the middle of a pandemic. You've got to have the passion to make sure may passion ka, may malasakit ka na lahat ng bibili ng gobyerno talagang sulit na aabot sa tao, na makakagamot sa tao, makakatulong sa tao. I don't see that in you, sir. And I'm very sorry you went to the Ateneo de Davao. I also went to Ateneo de Manila. It doesn't really matter because what you learn from the Jesuits, you keep in your heart. Maybe you were absent when the Jesuits were teaching, good moral conduct or something like that. I'm sorry. I mean, I get overly passionate when it comes to these things. But anyway, I think I'm done with this witness. Yes, Senator Dillon.
We also requested that the technical group that would assess the specifications of the purchases of the masks be invited. We'd like to know their role and how they went about ensuring that the purchases from Pharmaly and these other entities were of quality, of U.S. grade. So we would like to have them in the next hearing on September 7th, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Your Honor.
And also the Department of Health. Secretary Duque, do you have the names of your people?
I'm having it listed down, Your Honor, and we will comply with the subpoena.
Well, I don't know how you can comply. We have the names. I need the names para Director General Kimbo can give the proper subpoena to the addressees.
Yeah, I am told, Mr. Chairman, that they're compiling the documents that will evidence the names that constituted the inspection team and the team that prescribed the specifications.
All right, Secretary Duque, are you satisfied with the fact that you know that you need to clean up the Aegean stables, so to speak, process?
Yeah, there's a lot more to do, Your Honor. It's just that, as I've said earlier, the circumstances are really quite challenging, very difficult indeed. And we had to balance between the necessity to provide immediately the supplies and protect lives and our healthcare workers with the much needed personal protective equipment and life-saving supplies as well. There's a way of doing things. We're learning from this, and we need to document all of these, Mr. Chairman. It's going to be a good learning experience for the next generation.
I'm trying to ask you a question concerning, we can't be just fighting fires. This is my final question. Secretary Duque, we're fighting fires right now. You know, Senator Subira says 17,000 a day. The other day it was 18,000. The other day before that it went down, then it went up. And I know that maybe the first week of September it will probably start going down. Would that be correct, sir?
That is a projection, but there's a lot to be considered. We will have to look at the mobility, whether there has been, well, first of all, the 2-week ECQ, the effect of this will be felt perhaps by second week of September. And it all also depends on the intensified implementation of our prevention, detection, isolation, treatment, reintegration, and very importantly, ramping up vaccination, Mr. Chairman.
Would you be in favor, and I'm going now into in aid of legislation, of creating an executive legislative commission to reimagine and reform all government regulatory processes in the light of the continuing disruption of governance caused by the pandemic?
Yes, certainly, Mr. Chairman.
Because we can't expect things to go back to pre-pandemic days in 2019. And I think, quite frankly, it is time to envision a government that is not locked in old mindsets, bureaucratic red tape and corruption, and impossible regulatory regimes. If we are to build back better, that visioning process starts now. We cannot afford to spend all our time putting out fires and reacting to events. We have to be proactive. Do you agree?
Absolutely, Mr. Chairman. We support that.
In other words, all government transactions, including governments for citizens, like licenses, birth and death certificates, driver's license. In other words, we're going to change the lifestyle. The world, the pandemic is changing the way the world does its work. You know, courts now go on what we're doing right now on Zoom, and then you'd have to come up and say people don't have to go personally now to go to agencies to get their official documents, and processing time should be 72 hours or less. By way of the internet, you can get things moving without having to push people, right?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
I'm saying that because people go abroad and they need to make sure that they have their certificates of vaccination properly cleared. At huwag kayong gagamit. And I forgot to ask Secretary Duque this. Importante doon sa testing talaga is yung accuracy. Hindi pwedeng porque mura, kakagatin natin, pero hindi naman totally accurate. For that matter, even the PCR is not totally accurate, pero yung pa rin ang gold standard. So, let's try to get the best of the best para sa ating mga kababayan.
So yan mga kabanat, ang panawagan na naman natin at sana imbestigahan itong RT-PCR. Kasi naniwala ako dyan na mayroong anomalya talaga dyan mga kabanat. Mayroon talaga. Number one, naniwala ako na hindi accurate yan. Hindi talaga accurate yan. Kumbaga, sa bala, sigsag pa yan sa daan papuntang Baguio. Sigsag. Ay, para kung baga sa daan, sigsag pa yan patungo sa daanan papuntang Baguio. 'Di ba? Na paikot-ikot. Kasi pag ganyan kasing sistema, medyo logic lang o common sense lang. 60,000 ang tinis mo tapos magpo-positive na sa 20,000. Napakalaking porsyento 'yan. Kung ibabase mo, ititis mo lahat ng tao sa buong bansa, halos kalahati diyan pala ay magpo-positibo. Tapos kinalaunan makikita mo gumaling naman. So anong accurate doon? 'Di ba? Saan yung accurate doon? Dapat titingnan din. Baka mamaya itong binibili nila na PCR na to ay sa kamote lang galing at hindi na talaga sumusunod sa standard. O di kaya nung talagang the best na pang-test na talagang dadaan talaga sa masuring pag-test na talagang accurate. Kasi pag ganyan, parang kumbaga tinatawag na banjing-banjing na test o hindi pulido, tingnan mo ng sitwasyon. Kasi kung ganyan, nakasalalay kasi sa bansa yung pagtetest. Once nga tumaas yung bilang, automatic yung mga nasa gobyerno, yung puwet nila ay umuusog-usog na naman dahil nababahala na kunwari. Kasi wala silang common sense Nakikita natin, natatakot sila sa pandemya. Parang palagay nila, ang tingin ko kasi dito sa ating gobyerno, takot na takot sila sa pandemya na ito. Sa palagay nila kaya nilang supuin ito kung hindi sila mag-isip ng ibang tama. Ang pandemya na ito ay hindi na mawawala sa mundo. Nandiyan na yan. Ang gagawin sana ng gobyerno, maghahanap ng ibang paraan kung paano labanan ito. Nandiyan yung bakuna. Di ba? Tama yung tinatanong ng isang kababayan natin doon sa post ng kinu-question niya kasi bakit niya sa Manila lahat ay halos sa mataas na yung porsyento na nabakunahan pero subalit marami pa rin nagpo-positibo. Ayan sinabi ko, walang makapagsabi yung bakulaw na yan ay talagang tested. Walang makapagsabi diyan mga kabanat. Kaya yan. Ngayon, dito sa lugar namin bukas ay magkakaroon ng GCQ. Another GCQ, nag-GCQ yung barangay namin, ay yung bayan namin. Tapos mag-GCQ din ang lalawigan na talaga. Yung 6 district ay, kumbaga, madaling sabi, buong Pangasinan ngayon ay magkakaroon ng GCQ. So, yan. Dahil nga sa taas ng kumbaga, nagpo-positibo daw. So, yan. Dapat sa akin lang, yung swab test na yan, talagang pag-aralan mabuti mga kabanat. Kasi, yan ang dahilan din kaya hindi makausad-usad yung bansa dahil umaasa sila dyan. Test ng test kung titingnan. Tama yung sinabi ni Gordon, sana titingnan yung mabuti kung talagang accurate yung test na yan. Diba? Ibang ko lang kung anong gagawin ni DOH Secretary. Dapat mag-resign na si Secretary Doki. Wala namang selby talaga siya. Kumbaga, inutil siya. Inutil talaga mga kabanat. Saan mo ang gulo tingnan, makikita natin, inutil. Napaka-inutil. Yan ang aking komento mga kabanat.